December last year, I had nothing. No clients, no income, no experience running a business, no experience being a coach. And I can sit here on stage in front of you all today and tell you that I've made $50,000 already this year in my coaching business. I don't know if any of you guys have ever had this experience where you feel like you're trying so hard at everything, but everything just feels hard. I'm not somebody who is familiar with asking for support and for help. I like to do it on my own, and I like to be positive and optimistic that everything is going to work out. But back in September 2022, I was coming home from work, from my minimum wage job that I was massively overqualified for. I was tired. I had a 1-year-old son. He'd been up in the night. I was trying to get my coaching business off the ground. I wanted to believe that this life was possible for me, but I was just exhausted. And as I got to my house after cycling home from work, after an 8-hour shift where I'd been on my feet all day, I'd cycled 45 minutes to work, I'd cycled 45 minutes back from work, I'd been smiling all day, I'd been, projecting this self that I wanted to be. I was angry. And in my mind, I could hear this voice saying, how am I going to get out of this? How am I going to change things? Is this possible for me? And as I opened my front door, I was taking a couple of deep breaths, trying to talk myself out of feeling exhausted, trying to talk myself out of feeling angry. And I opened the door. There was my son. Behind him was my husband. And the house was a mess. And I was furious that after this day, I was now walking into this. And again, in my mind, I was thinking, how am I going to get out of this? Like, when is this ever going to end? And then there's the other voice saying, just keep going. You just have to keep going. And I'm like, but when is it ever going to end? How long do I have to keep going for? Is this ever going to happen for me? So I came in, and my husband took one look at me, and I was shooting daggers. I was looking at him like everything was his fault, and this situation was on him. He looked at me with confusion, and then came over to me and gave me a hug. And as he did, I just broke down. I just started crying, and really, really crying. I think I sobbed for about 3 minutes. And he held me. He let me cry. He told me that he loved me. And then he told me that he believed in me. And as I stood there in the arms of this man who loves me and believes in me, what came into my head was, I need help. The answer to that question, just keep going, how am I going to get out of this, was, do you need to keep going, or can you get out of this now? Can you ask for help? Can you ask the person who you are sharing your life with, who you have chosen to be the father of your son. Can you let him help you? And as I realized that my desire to do everything on my own was holding me back from doing what I really wanted to do, to pour my energy into stepping into this new phase, I realized that I had to make a change. I had to accept that I needed help, just for now. So I took a step back from my husband, and he looked at me in the eye. And he said, "What are you doing?" And instead of saying, "I'm fine, I don't need anything, I'm good," I just said, "I need money. I need some money. Not a lot of money, but I need a few £1,000 so I can quit my minimum wage job and I can stop pouring my energy into doing everything and being 100% self-sufficient, and I can actually start looking at my dreams and running after them." Of course, he gave me the money. And I quit my job, and I booked a ticket to Mexico for the accelerator immersion. And I started in earnest.
Wow. So, just so that everyone understands the context of this even more, last year at this time, you had no coaching business. You were in a full-time job where you were earning, like you were saying, far more than minimum wages, and still feeling miserable about it. But most importantly, what I sense in everything that you shared is this feeling of there's so much more I can do, but I got to do it on my own. Who else in this room often finds ourselves in that place? Raise your hand fully. That's the number of people in the room, Kaya, who feel exactly like you or felt exactly like you in that moment. Now, I know there's something turned the needle for you. One was, of course, asking your husband for help and him offering it and him holding that space and that support for you. But also something inside shifted for you. And I want you to walk everyone through what that thing was that made you go, maybe this is where I try something different.
So when I got to Mexico, it was the 5th of November, 2 days after my birthday, 2022. And we're in this 5-star resort. We're having the kind of accelerator experience with all of these 70 amazing coaches who I've been on calls with. And I was feeling insecure. I felt like I needed to be, I couldn't quite be myself. I wasn't, good enough. People, were they going to like me just the way that I was? And we did an exercise. We did a mastermind in groups of 4. As we were sharing the outcome of that mastermind, one of the questions was, what are you doing right now? And one of the coaches was going around the room and watching, and I was crying as I was sharing this with my small group. So when it came to the big shares, he went straight for me. And as I stood up to share, who I was and what I was doing right now, it was like deja vu. It was another big cry. I just felt so overwhelmed, and I started really crying. So much so that my good friend next to me, after about 10 seconds, was like, "You've got to speak. Like, you're just standing here crying. It's too much." At which point I kind of took a few deep breaths, and the words that I was trying to get out was, "I am a peaceful warrior. I am trying to build a business aligned with my values of love, freedom, and discipline." And it was that word discipline that really broke the camel's back, because I was saying to myself, I was reminding myself, this is who you are. I'd got myself to Mexico. I was doing the business accelerator. I'd done my coaching certification. And now it was about doing the work. And it was about showing up and doing things, small things every day, consistently, and embodying that yogi, that peaceful warrior that I know that I am. And that value of discipline is something that I was not born with. My dad still thinks it's a joke when I say to him it's one of my core values. But it is. And it's something that has served me time and time again, and it's something that I've cultivated over a long period of time, and I continue to have to cultivate on a daily basis. It still doesn't come easily, but I know it works. A lot of coaches share similar values about love and freedom. And these are amazing values, and I share them too. But values aren't just about who we are, they're about who we are becoming. And what I invite you all to think about today is, what value or values do you need to cultivate to become the person that you want to be, to get the things that you want? You probably already have that value of love. You probably already have that value of service, of freedom. What else? Because it's discipline that gets me into a cold shower every single morning. It's discipline that forces me, when it's getting towards the end of the week, to look at my tracker and say, how many people did you reach out to today, and get to work to make sure I meet my targets. And when I don't feel like it, I remind myself that that is who I am, that I am building a business based on my values. Yes, there's love in there. Yes, there's service in there, but it's about discipline. And discipline is the value that's going to get me the things that I want. So what is it that's going to get you the things that you want?
What Kaya hasn't shared with you here is fast forward 1 year from not having a coaching business at this time last year. Kaya, do you want to share with us what's brewing in your coaching business right now?
Absolutely. And why this is such a pleasure to share with you is because I had nothing. December last year, I had nothing. No clients, no income, no experience running a business, no experience being a coach. And I can sit here on stage in front of you all today and tell you that I've made $50,000 already this year in my coaching business. I've started a podcast with my co-host here, Pia Crofton. You're going to hear from her. And I am so excited about everything that is going to come, because I know this is just the beginning. And it's still the beginning for me, and it's the beginning for so many of us here. You can do it.